Now, if you stop that inbound payment, you actually stop the scam in its tracks, even though the outbound has gone out. So it's a really interesting kind of capability that I think is going to be, over the next 5-10 years, will be one of the key cornerstones of how we actually do fraud defense. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Nathan from LexisNexis Risk Solutions. I work in the professional services team, and we work with our customers to secure all of their transactions with speed, reliability and precision. We're all about living life secure. So authorized push payment fraud essentially is when the customer themselves are initiating the payment. So when we talk about APP, there's kind of this division between authorized and unauthorized. Unauthorized is when the person initiating the payment is unknown to the customer. Authorized is when it is the actual customer. And actually it's a symptom of what we'd call social engineering, and it's an incredibly hard problem to resolve. Authorized push payments, there's a lot of different terms for it. You can call it scams, you can call it social engineering, you can call it authorized. All the point being is that the customer themselves is making that payment, probably being coerced by a fraudster. How do you solve a problem like social engineering? How do you know that a consumer is being coerced, especially if it's on a phone call or potentially in person, where they're actually being told to make this particular payment? So actually, when you look at this, it's a problem that will never actually be resolved, because how are you to know that that consumer is being coerced or not? So when you actually are looking to try and identify authorized push payments, what you're really looking at is that overall picture and all the context that's super important to understand, is this normal for this user? Do they normally pay this type of beneficiary, potentially a money mule? Are they paying somebody within the location? Are they showing signs of duress? Are there signals that say that this person's hesitating before they press the button? Are they spending a lot longer on the account management page, which they would normally because they've got somebody on the phone? Can you detect that there's an active call on the line to show that they are actually being on the phone whilst making that particular payment? And then you're also looking at those behavioural profiles of what's normal for that user from a payment perspective. How much do they normally spend? We know that APP frauds tend to be larger in value than potential normal transactions. And so if you take all of this information and you're looking at the beneficiary, you're looking at the consumer, you're looking at their behaviours, you can make an educated guess of whether that person is the victim of a scam or not. But it is still a guess, and there is no solution that will solve scams completely, because it is very hard to understand this. And some of the challenges are, it's that consumer's device, it's their IP address, it's them passing any kind of OTP or one-time passcode type of challenge. How do you spot it? So, we've worked a lot with banks on how you solve a problem like social engineering or APP fraud, and we can make a big dent in it. You can particularly look at those types of transactions and those behaviours, but will it ever be completely resolved? No. So when we think about inbound payments, actually, it's kind of like it's the next kind of evolution in how we actually look at fraud detection. Previously, all fraud systems were geared towards the outbound, stopping the payment at the latest point. If you actually think about the best way to make a decision on that outbound payment is to take all the context, or everything that's happened historically, into account when making that decision. What's interesting about inbound is, as I say, it's not traditionally looked at by most fraud systems, is that actually it starts to see the money coming into a mule account. So actually inbound is actually more a symptom of how you can identify a money mule. And really it's basically saying, for the incoming bank or the receiving bank, does this look like a risky transaction? And then from there, you can almost do 3 different treatment strategies, the way I see it, which is effectively, you could freeze the funds and say that account is now frozen. I think that's a money mule. I'm going to stop that money moving on. Number 2, you could take a strategy of actually just freezing that particular transaction, so customer can transact as normal, but that amount is frozen. Or 3, you could take the view that you would just actually risk assess their outgoing transactions as more risky because of that inbound event. Why is this important? Because of liability. As we're starting to see across Europe and particularly in the UK, we're starting to look at receiving banks actually having liability. We've seen stuff with PIX in Brazil, we've seen stuff with in the US, particularly on that side as well. And actually that's going to become a key cornerstone, and actually it will be on the banks to actually probably communicate better so that they can actually understand when that scam fraud has taken place. The receiving bank has to take some responsibility, and I think it'll be a very big impact actually on the industry as itself, and I'm expecting in the next 5 years every payment defence tool will have inbound as a capability.